Hi guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. This is Teacher Smile and welcome again to our today's lesson. Last time we had looked at different things like when two straight lines are drawn, there are different types of angles that are formed there. For example, we have the adjacent angles. Adjacent we meant side by side, adjacent angles on a straight line. And we said as long as the angles are adjacent on a straight line, they should be added to 180. But when the angles are opposite, which is, for example, B and 60, if they are opposite, we call them vertically opposite angles, and those angles are equal. But today, we are not going to talk about those things. We are going to go on talk about the other angles that are formed when we have parallel lines. So the angles formed when there are parallel lines and a transversal line. What exactly is a parallel line? What kind of lines do we call parallel lines? You guys have ever seen a rail line where trains move? If you go on a rail line, you know that the tracks for the railway, they will have to run parallel forever and ever. So that's an example, just another example of parallel lines. This kind of lines that we have, if you just have two lines that are drawn and we continue drawing them and these lines will never meet. Imagine I draw this line up and this line up. These two lines, this one and this one, if they will never meet, we now say that these two lines are parallel lines. Also remember what we said last time. We said that in maths, we don't have to assume that lines are straight. We don't have to assume as well that lines are parallel. We have to be told. There is a simple way of telling people that the lines that you are dealing with are parallel. In this case, we are seeing these arrows. These arrows are a very, very simple way of telling you that the lines that you are dealing with are parallel. In other ways, this line and this line are parallel. This line and this line are parallel. If I have a situation like this, there is a line and a line. Let me ask you, are these lines parallel? Yes, you are right, they are not parallel. If you say they are parallel, let me just help you a little. I said in maths we don't assume. These two blue lines are not parallel. If they are parallel, we have to be told. We don't assume. So, if we want to tell people that the lines that we have here are parallel, we need to use these arrows. We may use one arrow like this, or we may use double arrows like this, or we may use triple arrows like this. If these arrows are not there, then the lines are not parallel. This line and this line are parallel because the arrows are telling us that those lines are parallel. This and this are parallel because the arrows, the double arrows, are showing us that they are parallel. These, they are triple arrows now, so these lines are parallel as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we never have to assume that lines are parallel because in mathematics, we have to be told that these lines are parallel. That's clear? Okay, now let's move on. A line that is drawn cutting across two parallel lines is called a transversal line. A transversal line. So this one is an example of a transversal line. I may have another transversal line like this. This is a transversal line. Again, this is a transversal line. Any line that is drawn cutting across two parallel lines is called a transversal line. While a transversal line may cut across 3 parallel lines, 4 parallel lines, but we are saying it should cut across 2 parallel lines. At least we should see the 2 parallel lines that are being cut by that straight line. Then it's a transversal line. Let me repeat again the definition. A transversal line is a straight line that cuts across the 2 parallel lines. Well, What does that give us then? When we have a transversal line and parallel lines, now there are angles being formed. Remember, an angle is just the corner of two meeting lines, right? So we have this, 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 we have this and that. So there are angles formed. That's why we now need to look at again what we call the angle relationships. So the first type that we need to look at when we are given two parallel lines and a transversal line is what we call the alternating angles. The other quickest way to remember them is by just saying Z angles.